Hare Krishna. We'll start with the invocation. The invocation is on the introduction page of Bhagavad Gita. Follow along. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeyaham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Kopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. We welcome Jai Hari Prabhu from Houston. Welcome. He is also in the process of getting caught up on the previous class recordings. So very good. Feel free to still ask any and all questions, even if you are not caught up, as we continue. So quick announcement that tomorrow, Sunday, November 3rd, daylight savings time changes in Toronto. So from following Saturday, Toronto time will stay the same, 2 p.m. Some of you might be impacted depending on whether or not you follow daylight saving times, Abhishek Prabhu and Jayari Prabhu, wherever you are. So you can just ensure to check the time conversion accordingly for following week onwards. The next announcement is that at some point of time, in probably end of December or January of 2025, I will rearrange all the classes and merge batch 6 and 7 because when I started batch 7 for India and Nepal devotees, I wrongly assumed that Nepal has Sunday as the weekly day off. Actually, it's Saturday. So I have to bring that batch 7 class onto Saturday. So I will merge batch 6 and 7. I'm still waiting to get timings for my Srimad Bhagavatam classes from Mayapur Institute. So that will be the trigger point. Once I get my schedule, then I can rearrange. So right now it looks like in the rearranged scenario, this batch 6 and 7 will happen on Saturdays, will just happen around 10:30 or 11 a.m. Toronto time. So stay tuned. I will, of course, give enough notice ahead of time. Then we'll go from there. Any questions, comments, realizations? Okay. So today, I will first answer inquiries submitted, and then we will continue from chapter 2, verse number 31 onwards. I will bring up on screen the inquiries submitted by the devotees. So question number 1. How to practice to not see ourselves at bodily concept? So at the start, at least theoretically, take it that you are not this body but you are a soul. And turn around your question that how can I live in this world as a soul? And the byproduct will be that you will be automatically out of bodily concept of life. So the answer on how to live in this world as a soul is that to do devotional service 24 hours, dovetail your day-to-day activities into Krishna consciousness. This way you will be living as a soul in this world. So we will have a lot of practical discussions coming up on how to dovetail day-to-day activities into Krishna consciousness throughout our Bhagavad Gita study. And at every event causing happiness or distress, the default reaction to happiness is that I want more and more and more of this and that because I am at bodily concept of life. Therefore, instead of getting excited about whatever achievement that is giving you joy, stay neutral. Because soul is spiritual, nothing in the material world can satisfy the soul. So one should observe the default reaction to happiness. And then instead of getting excited, remember that happiness and distress are at bodily level. Therefore, I have to stay neutral. Similarly, events causing distress. So yes, you have to first address the situation to stop the distress. Example, if you have a fracture or if you have a dental problem or whatever it be. First, do the needful to remove or fix the disease and simultaneously recognize Krishna's words that distress is at bodily level and again become an observer. Later, we will discuss at great length on how to use misery to remember Krishna. You can already start remembering Krishna now every time there is happiness or distress, that this is coming from Krishna. So all this discussion about dovetailing is coming up very soon, some in chapter 2 also. Hence, you will additionally also have verse references to use to remember Krishna. Does that answer the question? Okay, we have very few devotees in virtually present today. Question number 2 is, in verse 2.15, it has been mentioned that Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24 and his dependent wife and old mother had no one else to look after them. Did he not deny his material world duties as we discussed in our earlier discussion? So material world are full in themselves. There is no scarcity for maintenance in the material world. Whenever a living entity takes birth on earth or anywhere in the universe, his subsistence is immediately arranged for by the Lord. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He is already providing for subsistence for every single living entity in the universe, whether it be humans, animals, or living entities. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas for a higher purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness. Question continues that if the answer is no, then how will we know that looking after our family is only our prescribed material duty? So we will discuss in Bhagavad Gita 3.14 verse that all of us have two duties. One duty is taking care of family, keeping body and soul together. And another duty is to endeavor on the path of spirituality. The principle of prescribed duty is that whatever honorable duty you do in the material world, that lets you earn just about enough to keep body and soul together, plus maintain your family, as well as which allows you enough time to endeavor on spirituality, that is your prescribed duty. If you are working 14, 16, 24 hours and have no time for spirituality, then that is not your prescribed duty. So this principle of prescribed duty is described, and not a laundry list of what is prescribed duty for you and what is prescribed duty for me. And of course, prescribed duty will vary for each one of us according to time, place, and circumstances. And a further question to this is that, will Krishna show us further steps towards Krishna consciousness? So Krishna descended to earth to teach Bhagavad Gita and how to perform karma yoga with detachment so that it becomes bhakti yoga. So Krishna has given Bhagavad Gita as a manual to live as a soul in this world. Does that answer question, a little longer question? Okay, question number 3. As we discussed in our last class, that people in Toronto visit for devotional services. So what kind of devotional service that I should engage myself from India? Chanting and devotional service to Krishna at my home temple, is it enough, or should I do something more? So it is super excellent intent to do devotional services as well as actually doing devotional services also. So chanting and doing devotional service to Krishna at home is definitely devotional service. So continue these activities. And Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.16 that by serving pure devotees of Krishna, one develops the taste for hearing about Krishna. So Srila Narad Muni explains by his personal example that Srila Narad Muni was an ordinary 5-year-old Shudra boy. And by serving pure devotees, this ordinary 5-year-old boy goes on to become a pure devotee that we know as Srila Narad Muni. So in this chapter about Narad Muni in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse number 23, Krishna says that service of my devotee is more important than my direct service. So I will bring up on screen 1.2.16 and let's read. Abhishek Prabhu, if you want to read the translation, so this is 1.2.16.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva.
Right, so we have to serve the devotees, then we develop the taste for hearing the message of Vasudeva. And I will also bring up 1.5.23. Abhishek Prabhu will continue reading. So this is the chapter about how Narad Muni became Narad Muni. So read from here where it says, from the personal example of Sri Narad Muni.
From the personal example of Sri Narad Muni in his previous birth, it is clear that service of the Lord begins with the service of Lord's bona fide servants. The Lord says that the service of his servant is greater than his personal service.
Right, so the Lord clearly said that serve my devotees. So what you do is that you continue chanting and doing devotional service at your home temple, plus at the local ISKCON in your city in India. Next time there are events such as Rath Yatra or Janmashtami, when generally pure devotees visit temples, go and do some service. Or every Sunday or Sunday feast, go and do prasadam distribution service. This way, you will be serving devotees. Does that answer the question? Okay. Question number 4. What is the process and rules of chanting? So at our last session, we discussed at great length on how to do japa. If you have not already attended, then please listen to last session's recording. There's a detailed discussion on this. Question number 5. Though we know theoretically that we are not this body, but is it possible for a person who is living in materialistic world to practice this concept in real life, and how? So there's super excellent intent to practice how to live in this world at the level of soul. So we will do a lot of practice on how to live as a soul in this world. How to dovetail your day-to-day activities as Krishna conscious activities. So far, as you have correctly stated in your inquiry, that we are first learning the theory that we are not this body, we are souls. To live as a soul in this world means to remember Krishna 24 hours and to do devotional service 24 hours. So I will repeat some of the practical aspects that I have described earlier. For example, your wake-up time, that instead of waking up at 4:30 a.m., set your alarm at 4:34. 4:34, Bhagavad Gita is a spiritual master verse. So as soon as you wake up, remember Krishna via reciting the spiritual master verse, which is 4:34, that tadvidi paripatena, pariprashnena sevaya, upadekshanti te jnanam, jnanina tattvadarshina. Or instead of waking up at 5:30 a.m., set your alarm at 5:29 and recite the 5:29 verse that Krishna is the only enjoyer. Oktaram yagyatapasum sarvaloke maheshwaram suvatram sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim rachati. And next, say while you are taking shower, recite and memorize verses. Your shower will become bhakti yoga. Or say while you are driving to work or study or wherever you are driving, look at car number plates ahead of you, around you, and correlate with Bhagavad Gita verses and recite or read those verses. This way your driving becomes bhakti yoga. And just last week, I had sent a short 3-minute lecture that memorizing verses is a ready-made template to remember Krishna. Again, these are some initial steps. Lot more practice is coming up on how to live as a soul in this world. Now, many devotees from across various previous batches are actually already practicing these steps and living at the level of soul to a certain extent, whatever is possible for each of them. So just as walking may seem hard for a child learning to walk, similarly, for the first time at the start, it may seem hard on how to live as a soul, but it is definitely possible. Questions, comments, realizations? Question number 6. Can you please elaborate on the point of learned people not grieving for the dead, but not being hard-hearted in the name of devotion? So we have to understand the difference between grief and lamentation. Yes, we are souls, and soul does not die. But while we are in this body, we have a relationship with friends and family. Therefore, when some close friend or family member leaves the body, we have to have a healing process. And grieving is that healing process. Lamentation, on the other hand, is that person is crying and crying and crying for years and rest of his life. Therefore, grieving is healthy and it is required, but lamentation is to be avoided. I will describe an actual event. In one particular entire village in India was devastated by some natural calamity. Almost entire village was devastated. 100% people were significantly affected. So some group of devotees went to that village and chastised all villagers that you are fools, that you are crying for this loss, because you are not this body, you are souls. The next day, some Christian missionary person came to the same village, and these missionary people consoled all the villagers, gave them food and clothing, etc., the basic necessities. The result was that almost all people from this village converted themselves to Christianity. So we don't have to be hard-hearted. When some misery strikes, the living entity is in the combined form of body and soul. So immediate need for the body is required. That also we have to take care, so that body and soul can be together for devotional service. Therefore, start by taking care of the body, and then next step later on, introduce Bhagavad Gita and Krishna consciousness. But don't run a truckload of philosophy on somebody who is already injured. You may injure them all the more, or even permanently take them away from Krishna, just as the devotees did for the example that I gave you for those villagers, that they went away completely far away from Krishna altogether. Does that answer the question?
Yes, Swami.
Question number 7. This line of reasoning is not clear, that because body is meant to be destroyed and soul is eternal, hence Arjuna can kill his relatives in the fight. So just because body is temporary is not a license to kill humans or animals. We discussed this at our last class for chapter 2 verses, I think it was around verse 17 or plus minus 1 or 2 verse, where Prabhupada clearly says that just because body is temporary and soul is eternal is not a license to kill humans or animals. So why Krishna wanted Arjuna to kill Kauravas was because Kauravas were aggressors. In Bhagavad Gita 1.36 purport, it describes the 6 kinds of aggressors. That was the reason. Does that answer the question? Question number 8. Why material body is called non-existence in 2.16 verse? So non-existence refers to temporary nature of material world. That's what is referring to with the word non-existent, that it is temporary. Question number 9. I don't understand how in 2.18 Bhagavad Gita verse, the argument that material body anyway perishes counters Arjuna's argument of not fighting, as his problem was Arjuna has to kill people personally. More so, they will not die immediately if not killed by Arjuna. So I already described a few minutes ago that Kauravas being aggressors is the reason for them to be killed. Now this word killing seems jarring, but Kshatriya have to punish miscreants so as to protect citizens. And about this word die immediately. So you all will be completing a chart for Bhagavad Gita 8.17 verse, which describes that life in this universe revolves around the lifespan of Brahmaji, the first living entity of this universe. Brahmaji lives for 100 years. Brahmaji's 100 years equals to 311 trillion 40 billion plus few million years. And in that same 8.17 verse, Srila Prabhupada describes that this 311 trillion 40 billion length of lifespan may seem to be fantastic, but is actually like bubbles in oceans forming and breaking up in an instant. So entire creation is only one breath of Krishna. As Krishna exhales, creation happens. Next, when Krishna holds his breath before the normal inhaling, during this holding of his breath is equal to 100-year lifespan of Brahmaji, which is equal to 311 trillion 40 billion lifespan for humans on earth. So if 311 trillion 40 billion years is nothing, well, that one lifespan has real no meaning. Again, it was the aggressors the reason. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jai Hari Prabhu, go ahead.
I heard you say something about Bhagavad Gita 8:17, but were you saying that we were responsible for something regarding that verse?
Later on, when we reach chapter 18, yes, you will be populating a chart for 8.17 verse, which will explain what I briefly described about how lifespan of people on earth, not just earth, the entire universe, is linked to lifespan of Brahmaji.
Okay, thank you so much.
Question number 10. Krishna is the fountainhead of Paramatma. But in my understanding, there is no difference between Krishna and Vishnu. Can you please clarify this? So, Srimad Bhagavatam explains the analogy, and we'll soon read, I'll bring up on screen. Srimad Bhagavatam explains the analogy that you can light up many candles from the first candle. Still, first candle is still the first candle. So yes, according to Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So just as all candles are equal in terms of providing heat and light, similarly, there is no difference between all these incarnations. Still, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's read. Let's see. So I have on screen Srimad Bhagavatam 3.21.32, which explains the analogy of the candle. Jai Hari Prabhu, can you please read the second paragraph where it starts, there are different manifestations of the Lord?
There are different manifestations of the Lord. He is one, but he has become many. He divides himself into two different expansions, one called Kala and the other Vipinamsha. Ordinary living entities are called Vipinamsha expansions, and the unlimited expansions of Vishnu Tattva, such as Vamana, Govinda, Narayan, Padumya, Vasudev, and Ananta, are called Swamsva Kala. Swamsva refers to a direct expansion, and Kala denotes an expansion from the expansion of the original Lord.
Continue.
Oh, I don't know how to move the screen
I
to.
will move.
Baladev is an expansion of Krishna, and from Baladev, the next expansion is Sankarshan. Thus, Sankarshan is Kala, but Baladev is Swamsva. There is no difference, however, among them. This is very nicely explained in the Brahma Samhita 546. Diparichir eva hi dasharantara ram yerperya. With one candle one may light a second candle, with the second a third, and then a fourth. And in this way one can light up thousands of candles, and no candle is inferior to another in distributing light. Every candle has the full potential kanda power, but there is still the distinction that one candle is the first, another the second, another the third, and another the fourth. Similarly, there is no difference between the immediate expansion of the Lord and his secondary expansion. The Lord's names are considered in exactly the same way. Since the Lord is absolute, his name, his form, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, and his quality all have the same potency. In the absolute world, the name Krishna is the transcendental sound representation of the Lord. There is no potential difference between his quality, name, form, etc. If we chant the name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, that has as much potency as the Lord himself. There is no potential difference between the form of the Lord whom we worship and the form of the Lord in the temple. One should not think that one is worshiping a doll or statue of the Lord, even if others consider it to be a statue. Because there is not potential difference, one gets the same result by worshiping the statue of the Lord or the Lord himself. This is the science of Krishna consciousness.
Does that answer the inquiry? Okay. Question number 11. If we are not this body, then what is the reason, what is the aim of taking birth in this body? So material world is a jail for punishment for us, as well as material world is a hospital to cure our enjoying mentality disease. So I will bring up Srimad Bhagavatam 3.5.20a directly describes that we take birth so that we get a chance to purify our enjoying mentality so that we can go back home, Godhead. Matan Prabhu, can you please read the purport for 3.5.28?
Yes, Hare Krishna. The Mahat Tattva is the bare medium between pure spirit and material existence. It is the junction of matter and spirit, where from the false ego of the living entity is generated. All living entities are differentiated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead. Under the pressure of false ego, the conditioned soul, although parts and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, claim to be the engineer of material nature. This false ego is the binding force of material existence. The Lord again and again gives a chance to the bewildered conditioned souls to get free from this false ego, and that is why the material creation takes place at intervals. He gives the conditioned soul all facilities for rectifying the activities of false ego, but he does not interfere with their small independence as parts and parcel of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So material creation is so that we can purify ourselves and go back home to Godhead. Does that answer the inquiry?
I have a question on this.
Yeah.
So we like if we go back to the spiritual world, what is the current day that we will not make the same mistake again and come fall down to the material world? Because in some verse I see that Krishna's if we want to go back to the Krishna Loga, we never have to come back.
Yeah. So there's a verse, direct verse in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, one who comes back to spiritual world will not again come to material world. So we all were in the spiritual world to begin with, and we decided that we want to enjoy the modes of material nature. But at that time, we did not know that material existence is a place of misery. But now that we have experienced that this material world is a place of misery, then we will not again do the same mistake. It's exactly like, say, if you touch a live electricity wire and you get a shock. So we all know theoretically that we should not touch it. But as a child, I'm pretty sure in the curiosity or ignorance, we might have touched, or at least seen somebody might have touched, and they get a shock. So now that we have the shock of the material world, that this is a horrible place, now when we go back, we will not come back again, or at least we will not do that same mistake again, which made us to come to the material world to begin with. Matan Prabhu, does that answer?
Yes, we have to come to that stage of that, this material world is miserable. Some people, not works for everybody, I think. So it's whoever feels that way, will be liberated, I think. So
Yeah, you are correct. So if you read 8.15 is the direct answer that when transcendentalists or yogis return to spiritual world, they will not come back. Matan Prabhu, you can read 8.15 translation, Bhagavad Gita. Matan Prabhu,
Okay, one second, I'm getting it. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of misery, because they have attained the highest perfection.
Right. So now that we all, or at least who realize that we have the shock of material world, then we will not come back. And you, Matan Prabhu, you are absolutely correct. It is for one who realizes that this material world is a place of misery.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Okay. Question number 12. Sometimes inquiries come during the week and not while completing spiritual endeavor or say in class. So what do I do? So this is super excellent to have inquiries throughout the day or throughout the week because you are remembering Krishna this way. So you can send multiple inquiries on the Google form, just as at least one devotee did this on the last Google form. Or you can send me personal messages. Multiple devotees send me inquiries every single week. And if the response is short, I respond with a message. And if the response is long, I generally suggest to have a conversation with me rather than going back and forth on messages. Example, say an inquiry about miseries in the material world. Now, this is an advanced subject matter. Kunti Maharani has explained that miseries are welcome because via miseries I will remember Krishna. Now, this Kunti Maharani's prayer of welcoming miseries is super high level of devotion. I am not there yet. And if I give a response with this statement from Kunti Maharani, it is possible that you may think that scriptures are some abstract with no relevance to reality, that I am already suffering. So how can I ask for more miseries? So this requires a discussion. Therefore, for inquiries like these, I generally recommend to have a conversation with me. And further, even if I write a very long message, you may still read with a contaminated filter and may misunderstand. Therefore, it's for complicated or advanced questions, it's better to have a conversation rather than messages back and forth. Is that reasonable for everyone?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Last question for today. What is the importance of knowing what form of body we will get in the next birth? So we don't have control which life form from the 8.4 million life forms we may get in the next life. But we can at least try to endeavor to live in a way to avoid animal life form by, say, not eating eggs and meat, not living a sinful life. By living a pious lifestyle and doing devotional service, there is high likelihood that we will get a human life around devotees in our next life so that we can continue spirituality from where we left off. Because for many, spirituality does not generally happen in one lifetime. Spirituality continues life after life. So when we take a new body, spirituality is not lost. Meaning, if I completed 1% spirituality in my previous life, in my current life, I will continue from 2% point onwards. And in the current life, if I completed up to 5% of spirituality, then in my next life, I will continue from 6% point onwards. So it is important that we live a pious life, including doing devotional service, so that there is greater chance of getting a human form of life to continue spirituality and attain liberation at some point of time. Because it is only in the human form of life that spirituality is possible. If we live a sinful life, then we will be eternally bound in material existence to suffer in lower species of life or on lower or hellish planets. Does that answer the inquiry? Any questions, comments, realizations? All right, so we'll continue now with chapter 2 Bhagavad Gita from where we left off. So in chapter 2, section 2, verses 11 to 30, Krishna said that you are not this body, you are soul. Temporary body cannot be saved, eternal soul cannot be killed. Therefore, compassion for the temporary body is ignorance. So now that you know that you are soul and not this body, so how do I act as soul in this world? I know I am not this body does not mean I will stop acting at bodily level because I am still in the material world. I still have to act. Therefore, Krishna explains how to live in the world in a dharmic way. So section 3, verses 31 to 37 is KarmaKanda - fight. KarmaKanda is the first application of that atma gyan that Krishna gave in chapter 2, section 2, verses 11 to 30. KarmaKanda provides material enjoyment at dharmic level. So scriptures get added at KarmaKanda level. So the level before KarmaKanda or the lower level before KarmaKanda is animalistic lifestyle like the most materialistic people live. And now you take one step up towards spirituality by adding scriptures and you live according to scriptures. Means you try material enjoyment in a dharmic way that scriptures have described. So first step to get out of bodily concept of life is KarmaKanda. KarmaKanda leads to gradual elevation. So these verses 31 to 37 are on KarmaKanda. Monarch Prabhu, can please read chapter 2 verses 31 to 37 translations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Bhagavad Gita 2.31 translation. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. 2.32 translation. O Parth, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. 2.33 If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. 2.34 People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. 2.35 The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. 2.36 Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? 2.37 O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Hare Krishna.
So, in these verses 31 to 37 about KarmaKanda, Krishna counters Arjuna's argument of loss of enjoyment as the reason to not fight. So Arjuna had asked in 2.7, what is Shreyas? What is good in the long run? Krishna says in 2.31, that there is no better shreyas for Kshatriya than to fight a righteous war. So all of us have two sets of duties. Material duties, meaning varnashram dharma, duties to family members. And spiritual duties, meaning our sadhana bhakti. So both these material duties and spiritual duties have to be done harmoniously. In Bhagavad Gita 3.14, we'll discuss that if we only do material duties, it is good. But we are doing only partial of the assigned duties. Therefore, we also have to do spiritual duties side by side, and we need to have a balance between material and spiritual duties. So Arjuna was thinking lose-lose situation by giving so many arguments, and Krishna is showing win-win situation. So Krishna says, if enjoyment is your concern, then fighting is your best option. So here in chapter 2, verses 31 to 37, is Krishna's response to Arjuna's argument to not fight, that I cannot enjoy because victory will be tainted with blood. And Krishna says, if you don't fight, then you will not enjoy. Complete opposite to what Arjuna was thinking. So Krishna gives various reasons to dispel Arjuna's doubts so that Arjuna can do his Kshatriya duty of fighting. So first, in chapter 2, section 2, verses 11 to 30, Krishna first gives the atma gyan, that soul is indestructible and body cannot be saved, therefore fight. This counters Arjuna's compassionate argument. And then in section 3, verses 31 to 37, about KarmaKanda, that by fighting you will attain heaven or you will enjoy earthly kingdom. So this counters Arjuna's loss of enjoyment argument. And then in section 4, verses 38 onwards, 38 to 53, Krishna moves from KarmaKanda to KarmaYoga, means seek liberation. And this section 4 will counter Arjuna's fear of sinful reaction argument. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations on the KarmaKanda verses or anything.
So KarmaKanda is the lowest stage where we are living in an animalistic way of life.
Animalistic is the lowest, and one step above animalistic is KarmaKanda. So animalistic is there is no scriptures, there's no rules. I will get what I want, how I want. That is animalistic lifestyle, eating anything and everything. Now you say, okay, I still want to enjoy in the material world, but I will enjoy according to scripture. So for example, animalistic person, they have physical relation with opposite sex, unrestricted way. So now you come at KarmaKanda level and you still want to have relation with opposite sex, but now it's in a dharmic way according to scriptures. So you will get married and you will follow the varnashram dharma. Matan Prabhu?
Okay, thank you. So KarmaKanda is still a very sinful life also. We are still following, but it's still sinful.
It's not necessarily sinful, it still is attached. The word sinful is really applicable for animalistic, but KarmaKanda, the correct word is that it is attached, that husband and wife are attached to each other, or both of them attached to family, or you are attached to your opulence. So it is attached. Karmakanda is attached life.
Okay, thank you.
Monarch Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, what is difference between Karmakanda and Yajna?
So yajna is a process that those devotees under Karmakanda or Karma Yoga, they perform this yajna. So somebody in Karmakanda will perform a yajna, say to attain opulences for material benedictions. Or somebody in Karma Yoga, he will perform yajna for satisfaction of the Lord, provided he is at the highest level of Karma Yoga. But this yajna means the fire sacrifice, what we might have seen or at least heard of, is not possible in Kali Yuga. In upcoming discussion, Prabhupada will go on to explain that Sankirtan Yajna is the only Yajna possible in Kali Yuga. It's there in 3.9. Many places is there in 3.9 also. That work must be done for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Otherwise, it will cause bondage. So Karmakanda is a level when you look at yoga ladder. So I'll soon as we finish chapter 2, I will give you a yoga ladder view and you will realize. So it's just a level. Karmakanda is a level and you are progressing to the next level, which is Karma Yoga. This way your goal is to progress upwards towards Bhakti Yoga. Yajna is an actual activity that a devotee performs to attain either material benediction or even liberation.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you.
Everybody on the same page?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I'm sorry, I missed it when you were saying that Arjuna was presenting the lose-lose situation and Krishna was countering with the win-win situation. What verse was that?
So Arjuna in chapter 1 gives various reasons to not fight. First he says compassion, that I feel compassion even for the warriors on the other side. And the second reason he gives is loss of enjoyment. So he's gave other reasons also. I'm only focusing on these two. So Arjuna was saying that I'm in a lose-lose situation, that whichever way I look at it, I am losing. So Arjuna's options were that Arjuna either fights. If he fights and he wins, he's not going to enjoy because the win is tainted with blood of relatives. Or if Arjuna fights and he loses, well, then he loses his life. Or Arjuna's other option was that he goes to forest and live as a beggar. Well, that is also disgraceful for a Kshatriya king to live as a beggar. Therefore, Arjuna was in a lose-lose-lose situation, and Krishna is turning it around into win-win situation, where first Krishna countered in chapter 2, section 2 with the Atma Gyan, that you are not this body, you are soul. Soul cannot be killed, eternal soul, and temporary body cannot be saved. Therefore, compassion for the body is ignorance. Therefore, Krishna gave this as the first argument to get Arjuna out of his lose-lose situation. And then about loss of enjoyment, Krishna says, if enjoyment is your reason to live in the material world, then fighting a righteous religious war is the best approach for a Kshatriya. So again, Krishna is turning around the lose-lose thought that Arjuna has into a win-win situation. Depends on what you want to live accordingly. So the enjoying mentality is for Karmakanda people. Therefore, Krishna says, okay, Arjuna, if you want to enjoy in the material world, then fighting is your best option. Because if you don't fight, then you will gain infamy, and infamy will cause you to lose enjoyment. Jai Hari Prabhu.
Yes.
Very good inquiries. Okay. So step back and see what has happened so far in Bhagavad Gita so far. So first, Arjuna says, I cannot fight with my friends and family. And Krishna says, you are eternal soul. Eternal soul cannot be killed. Temporary body cannot be saved. By doing your duty, you will enjoy heaven or this world, which is KarmaKanda. Isn't that what has happened from the start of Bhagavad Gita up to verse number 37? Yes.
Yes, Maharaj.
Thank you. Neha, can you please read Bhagavad Gita 2.38 translation? Abhishek Prabhu 2.38.
Yes, sir. 2.38 translation. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin.
So I want all of you to read verse number 37 and 38 translations at your end right now and tell me what is common in these two verses, 37 and 38. Everybody?
It seems like the common instruction is that Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight, but he's basically saying that like there's going to be different outcomes, but you have to fight anyway.
Okay, very good, very good. Rest of you, what is common between 37 and 38?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So Prabhu,
Maharaj,
between both the verses, the common factor is Krishna is asking Arjun to do his duty.
Okay, very good, correct. Rest of you?
I think I understand that both the ways Krishna is asking Arjuna to do what is not sinful.
All right, very good. Rest of you who didn't answer, what is common in 37 and 38 verse?
So do your duty without worrying about the result.
Okay, so that is 38. What is common? 37 and 38.
You will get the you will contain heavenly planets either way.
Yeah, that is 37. So he explained 37 and 38 individually. My question is, what is common between the two? So rest of you answered it correctly, that fight is the common in both the verses. So what's going on here is that from verse number 38 onwards is section 4 of chapter 2, which is Nishkam KarmaYoga. Nishkam KarmaYoga is the second application of Atma Gyan. So KarmaKanda was the first application of Atma Gyan, and Nishkam KarmaYoga is the second application of Atma Gyan. So Krishna is still telling Arjuna to fight in verse number 38, but the motivation of fight is different. Till 37, which was KarmaKanda, Arjuna's focus was on enjoyment, or at least that's what Krishna was trying to explain. That if you want to enjoy, then fight and either you get heaven or you enjoy the kingdom. And in 38 onwards, Krishna is taking Arjuna to the next level, one step higher than KarmaKanda, to Karma Yoga, meaning act with detachment. So this verse number 38 is an important transitional verse. That first in 37, Krishna talked about win-loss situation, that you will either win heaven or you will enjoy the kingdom on earth. And then in 38, Krishna says, give up this win-loss calculation altogether. Because Krishna is taking Arjuna one step higher from KarmaKanda to Nishkama KarmaYoga. And he says, don't worry about win or loss, just be detached. And if you are detached, if you are just doing your duty, then there will be no sinful reaction. Okay, we'll read the purport. Abhishek Prabhu, read the purport. I will stop you partway. 38 purport.
Yes, purport. Lord Krishna now directly says that Arjuna should fight for the sake of fighting because he desires the battle. There is no consideration of happiness or distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat in the activities of Krishna consciousness. That everything should be performed for the sake of Krishna is transcendental consciousness. So there is no reaction to material activities. He who acts for his own sense gratification, either in goodness or in passion, is subject to the reaction, good or bad.
Right? So
But
what did Prabhupada say? That if you are acting in the world for your own sense gratification, then you will be subject to reaction. But if you are fighting for Krishna, just doing your duty, then there will be no reaction. This is what Krishna is trying to explain by taking Arjuna to the next level and countering Arjuna's third argument from chapter 1, that fear of sinful reaction. Krishna says, if you fight with detachment, then there will be no reaction. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Jai Hari Prabhu, 2.39 translation.
Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without furtive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works.
So there are many important terms in this verse, such as Sankhya, then Buddhi, then Yoga. Sankhya means analysis. Krishna has been explaining Sankhya or analysis in verses 11 to 30, that you are not this body, but you are a soul. And Buddhi means intelligence. Srila Prabhupada explains in chapter 10 that intelligence means to see things in their proper perspective. Buddhi Yoga is explained in chapter 10, verse number 10. Tadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayantite. That those who serve me, Krishna gives them the intelligence by which they can come to me. So those who serve Krishna, Krishna gives them the intelligence by which the devotee can go back to Krishna. So Buddhi Yoga at the highest level is the intelligence given by Krishna by which one can return back to him. Yoga means connection and Buddhi means intelligence. So Buddhi Yoga refers to the intelligence that enables one to do yoga and connect with deeper reality of life. So Buddhi Yoga means intelligence by which one connects with deeper reality of life. Buddhi Yoga, in its most complete sense, is Bhakti Yoga, which will become evident as we progress in Bhagavad Gita. Specifically is there in 10.10 also. So very important to understand that at least in chapter 2 and at least in some other parts of Bhagavad Gita also, the words Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are used interchangeably to refer to the highest form of Bhakti Yoga. So the highest form of Karma Yoga is Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, they are used interchangeably. Although Karma Yoga can be at the lower end also, where you are not necessarily focused on Krishna, but you are somewhat in between. And that Karma Yoga on itself does not make it Bhakti Yoga. So all that discussion is coming up very soon when I'll give you the yoga letter visual and will become clear. Questions, comments? So what Krishna is explaining is that if I am not this body, then I should know how to act. If I am acting in pious way, meaning the KarmaKanda way, it will take one to heaven. But heaven is also temporary and a place of misery. Heaven is within this material universe. Higher than heaven is liberation. Therefore, Krishna takes Arjuna to the next level of Nishkama KarmaYoga from KarmaKanda, that work with detachment so that you can get something higher than heaven, means you attain liberation. So Sankhya is for the purpose of stopping material activities, and Buddhi Yoga means you are inspired by the Lord within to perform spiritual activities. Questions, comments, realizations?
Well, something I could not follow. Just like you mentioned that in highest form, other yoga, bhakti yoga. So then, what is the difference? Like when they are not, like I think you
Difference
mentioned
between what?
the, like in the highest form they are bhakti yoga. Then what are they when they are not in the highest form?
You mean the Karma Yoga, which is not highest?
Karma and buddhi, yes.
Yeah. So Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are definitely at the highest level. Karma Yoga has two divisions. One is Sakam Karma Yoga and the other is Nishkam Karma Yoga. In Sakam Karma Yoga, you have both things running in parallel, that you want material desires also and you want spiritual advancement also. In Nishkam Karma Yoga, you are largely focused on spirituality, and the material world is just about to maintain the body and soul together, and even that you are not attached at all. So all this is coming up, I have briefly described. Abhishek Prabhu.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It is also nice to like just sharing that this is nice to see that transition point and section changes. Otherwise, the arguments they don't make sense. That and just one verse before
Yeah.
Krishna is saying
Yeah.
enjoyment about heaven, and this next verse don't think about that.
Yeah, very good. That's very good observation and very good hearing our discussion with rapt attention. And I have explained this, that acharyas have split the chapter in small sections so that it becomes easier for ordinary people like me to understand. Otherwise, somebody is reading Bhagavad Gita by themselves, they don't know these subsections and they get confused. He says, 2.37, he says fight to win heaven. Then he says fight, don't worry about win and loss, and people don't understand what is this going on. Therefore, acharyas have done it very nice work for all of us and made it actually simple for us to understand the flow of Bhagavad Gita. Very good. Jai Prabhu, you had something to ask?
I did, Prabhuji. I'm a little dense. Sorry. I'm just trying to follow. My question is very similar to Abhishek Prabhu's question. I'm trying to follow if Karma Yoga is not the highest level, as Buddha Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are highest, then how is it that they were used interchangeably?
Yeah. So Karma Yoga in its highest form is Bhakti Yoga. That's where it is used interchangeably in chapter 2, at least for sure, because Krishna is referring to Karma Yoga at the highest level. But Karma Yoga simultaneously also has divisions, which will come up in later chapters, specifically in chapter 3, 4, and 5, where the Sakam Karma Yoga will also get discussed, which is a lower form of Karma Yoga. Therefore, Karma Yoga, we don't have to accept blindly that, oh, I am doing Karma Yoga means I am doing Bhakti Yoga. Don't accept that blindly or don't follow that blindly. You have to understand, are you at Sakam Karma Yoga or are you at Bhakti Yoga level of Karma Yoga? The difference is at Sakam level of Karma Yoga, you are having your feet in two boats, that you want material enjoyment also, you want spirituality also. And in Karma Yoga, which is at the highest form of Bhakti Yoga, you have nothing to do with the material world. You are doing your activity in the material world with detachment just because it's your duty. Your focus is spirituality. So therefore, Krishna is explaining in chapter 2 Karma Yoga at the highest form, not Karma Yoga as Sakam. The Karma Yoga as Sakam will get discussed in later chapters. And again, this visual you don't have right now, which I will give at the start of chapter 3 for the yoga letter, where this will become crystal clear. And the other point that Jai Hari Prabhu mentioned about that he seems to be lost a little, I already said at the start of chapter 2 that chapter 2 is going to overwhelm you because chapter 2 is a summary of entire Bhagavad Gita, and that too at a high level. Therefore, chapter 2 is definitely going to overwhelm you very soon. If you are not already overwhelmed, it is going to overwhelm you very, very soon. Therefore, I have explained, don't worry about this overwhelming situation, because after we finish chapter 2, we will pause and we will revise and summarize chapter 1 and 2 side by side, and it will become a lot more clearer when we summarize chapter 2. Jai Hari Prabhu, does that help you and rest of you?
Yeah, that really helps. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Rest of you, questions, comments, realizations? Okay. So we are on 2.40. Jai Hari Prabhu, 2.40 translation.
Okay. Let me turn the page here. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
So Krishna is just giving a result of Buddhi Yoga or a result of Bhakti Yoga, that if you follow Bhakti Yoga, if you follow Buddhi Yoga, if you follow Karma Yoga at its highest form, which is Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, then the result is you will attain eternal results of spirituality. All right. Matan Prabhu, 2.41, translation.
Krishna, those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Gurus, the intelligence of those who are resolute is many branch.
So it's a very well-known verse. Vyavasayat Mika Buddhir, Eke Kuru Nandana. So Vyavasay, many of us are from India. What does Vyavasay mean? Somebody?
Hare Krishna, job or business?
Okay, business, very good. Matan Prabhu?
Farming business, vegetable.
Okay, business. Anybody else? Anything wants to try? What does Vyavasay mean to you? Okay, both Monar Prabhu and Matan Prabhu correctly answered that Vyavasay means business minded. So just as business person sees everything from money perspective, a devotee should see everything from spiritual perspective. So if we are not one pointed, in our Krishna conscious endeavors, then it will become very difficult. Srila Prabhupada's purport focuses on how to get to the one-pointedness. To achieve something in life, one has to be strictly focused. If I want to advance in Krishna consciousness, then I have to focus. When desires cloud my mind, then dilemmas cloud my intelligence. If I have too many desires to fit in 24-hour day, it will seem impossible to finish all of them because it is impossible. When this happens, that your to-do list runs beyond 24 hours, first thing we have to do is to streamline and make things shorter. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that by satisfaction of the spiritual master is the only way to satisfy Krishna. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no way to satisfy Krishna. Questions, comments, realizations?
I have a small question about that, about satisfying the spiritual master.
Yeah.
What if there is you were talking about dilemmas, right? What if there is one instruction of the spiritual master that is a broad instruction, and then another specific instruction that seems like there's not enough time for it because you're following the broader instruction? Which one is more important, specific instructions or like a broad instruction?
So it is not a generic answer. It is very specific that you have to clarify from your spiritual master. That, okay, you have given me 2 instructions. Which one do you want me to focus on? And Srila Prabhupada has explained this by his personal example, that Prabhupada was given instruction to go and preach to the West. Prabhupada did not start right away. Prabhupada took many years to first prepare himself that how am I going to preach? So Prabhupada took many years to prepare himself, and Prabhupada goes on to explain this, that it is okay to postpone your spiritual master's instruction so that you can prepare and apply the instruction at a particular time. It's just that you have to be careful that you don't drop off spiritual master's instruction. So Jayari Prabhu, what you have described is a very specific situation to your situation or whosoever situation you are describing. So the disciple has to clarify from the spiritual master that what do you want me to do as a priority. So I'll tell you my personal example. My spiritual master also gave me an instruction which I could not follow at that point in time. So I wrote back to my spiritual master I said, I understand you want me to do this service, but right now I have a physical challenge that I am getting treatment. So I will do this service as soon as is possible for me. So what did I do? I clarified that, okay, you are asking me to do service. Yes, I am ready to do service, but simultaneously I have a physical limitation also, which I cannot do the service because of which. And my spiritual master at that point in time did not know about the physical limitation that I am having. So spiritual master said, okay, yeah, that's all right. So similarly, you also clarify. And for my spiritual master, when he gave that instruction, and I said, right now it's impossible for me because of the limitation. And when that impossible situation got resolved, I went back to service. And I responded back to spiritual master, yes, now I am from this day back to my so-and-so service. And my spiritual master responded back in an email, thank you very much, very good endeavor. So that's what you have to clarify, because this is a very specific task. Jai Prabhu, does that help you?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Rest of you? Padma Kumar Prabhu?
Hello, Prabhuji. I want to know a little bit more about Krishna consciousness, the definition.
When you say definition as in?
Yeah, on Krishna consciousness. What is Krishna consciousness?
Krishna consciousness means that you serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. This is the definition of pure devotional service, which is given in Nectar of Devotion. There are many other smaller components of Krishna consciousness also. Say, don't enjoy at the material level. That is also Krishna consciousness. Chanting is also Krishna consciousness. So there are many individual tasks leading to the greater task. The bottom line goal of Krishna consciousness is to serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. This is the definition of pure devotional service given in Nectar of Devotion, which is Anya Abhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavratam, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, Bhakti Uttam. That you serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. So important point is favorably. So you remember Krishna 24 hours, that is Krishna consciousness, that is Bhakti Yoga. Now Kamsa was also remembering Krishna 24 hours from the time this announcement happened on the day of marriage of his sister Devaki, that Devaki's 8th son will kill Kamsa. So from that time, Kamsa was so conscious of Krishna that many devotees actually feel like I should have that level of remembrance of Krishna. But Kamsa was remembering Krishna to kill Krishna. That is not favorable. Therefore, the definition says, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. Anukul means that which is favorable. Padma Kumar Prabhu, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. So in this verses 38 to 46, Krishna is describing Karma Yoga by comparing Karma Yoga and KarmaKanda. So verse number 42-43 talks about KarmaKanda. So Krishna is doing a comparison. Krishna is teaching Karma Yoga by comparison to KarmaKanda. Krishna does this comparison multiple places in Bhagavad Gita. As this Karma Yoga, KarmaKanda is definitely one of them. Then faith and faithless is another comparison that Krishna does. So let's read 42-43 translation. Padma Kumar Prabhu, are you able to read 2.42-43 translation?
Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resulting good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say there is nothing more than this.
Read first paragraph purport.
Purport. People in general are not very intelligent, and due to their ignorance, they are most attached to the fruitive activities recommended in the KarmaKanda portions of the Vedas. They do not want anything more than sense gratifying proposals for enjoying life in heaven where wine and women are available and material opulence is very common. In the Vedas, many sacrifices are recommended for elevation to the heavenly planets, especially the Jyoti Stoma sacrifices. In fact, it is stated that anyone desiring elevation to the heavenly planets must perform these sacrifices, and men with a poor fund of knowledge think that this is the whole purpose of Vedic wisdom. It is very difficult for such inexperienced person to be situated in the determined action of Krishna consciousness, as fools are attached to the flowers of poisonous trees without knowing the results of such attractions. Unenlightened men are similarly attracted by such heavenly opulence and the sense enjoyment thereof.
So what Padma Kumar Prabhu asked, we just read in the purport as well, that someone situated in trying to enjoying, that is not Krishna consciousness. But if you are determined to give that up, that action is Krishna consciousness. And similar to what Matan Prabhu was also asking, that the Karmakanda people are attached. We read here in these verses. So the flowery language of Vedas talks about elevation to heavenly planets. So Krishna says, those who think that heaven is the conclusion of Vedas, they are with small knowledge because they do not understand the actual conclusion of Vedas. Heaven is actually a very toxic place for a soul because there is so much enjoyment in heaven that soul gets entangled in enjoyment, and after the soul's pious credits are finished, from heaven the soul may end up going to hell because of the toxic level of enjoyment that is available in heaven. Questions, comments, realizations?
So I have a question. So the demigod worshippers are in KarmaKanda section of life. Is that right?
You are correct. Demigod worshippers fall in KarmaKanda.
Thanks.
All right.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
What do we do? See, generally, people, they want to know about Krishna, and I would say generally the goal, or there's many goals, but somebody that's interested in going back to Godhead is like, I would say that's pretty like the most common. But what do we do about somebody that wants to be preached to, but they only want to go to heaven, and they know about Goloka Vrindavan, but they only still want to go to heaven? Are we supposed to, just kind of like let it be, or what's the best recommended, action?
Yeah, very good inquiry, very good practical inquiry.
Yeah.
So Krishna says in 3.26 that do not disturb materialistic people. Just try to engage them in devotional service so that they develop the taste and they develop the pious credit. So if somebody comes to you, yeah, I know about Krishna, or whether or not I know about Krishna, whether or not I know about Goloka Vrindavan, I want to go to heaven. Can you help me? You tell them, yeah, come do devotional service to Krishna. So, Jai Hari Prabhu, I want you to read 3.26 translation.
3.26?
Yeah.
Okay. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness.
Does that answer your inquiry directly by Krishna?
Perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we are supposed to do. So if that person is doing devotional service and his goal is to attain heaven, he will attain heaven, but simultaneously, at least it opens the door for him to go to Goloka Vrindavan also, because he's doing Krishna service. If he only does demigod worship, then his door is blocked beyond heaven. The door of bhakti or the door of Goloka Vrindavan do not open if somebody is only doing demigod worship. But if the person does Krishna bhakti, still has heaven as the desire, then Krishna goes on to say in 7.16 that 4 kinds of people come to Krishna. One of them is wanting material desires. And Krishna goes on to say in 7.18 that actually this person is magnanimous, because instead of going to demigod, this person came to me. So that's what we do. Say, oh yeah, come do devotional service. And gradually their Krishna conscious will develop.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Abhishek, go ahead.
Yes, so just want to clarification that like when we speak like this, like suppose sometimes we are going to new people, we tell them you chant, it will help you focus, you will get good grades. So like it maybe something like, so we engage them, but not maybe not full truth is told to them because it will disturb them. So
yeah, so
is
Krishna
it,
has given. So we have to follow what Krishna is telling them. If you tell them the truth that you are not intelligent, well, it will disturb them. Right? Therefore, Krishna says, don't disturb them. They are attached. They don't have taste. Just try to engage them in service.
so like is it okay? Like this process is okay? Like
Yeah, this
if
process
we,
is perfect. Krishna himself, we just read in 3.26.
okay.
So why they are interested in heaven is because they don't have devotional taste. And therefore in 3.26, in towards the end, Krishna says, for gradual development of Krishna consciousness. How do you develop Krishna consciousness? Is by doing devotional service. So you are not lying anything to them. You're saying, okay, yes, you have material desires, okay, keep them with you, but do devotional service so that you develop the taste for devotional service and taste for Krishna consciousness, so that gradually the material taste will go away on itself and you will progress on Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, but this part we may not tell them upfront, right?
You are correct. Yeah, you are not telling them this. You are just executing what Krishna told in 3.26, that do not disturb them, just engage them in service.
Okay, thank you.
Very good inquiries, practical inquiries. All right, let's see. Neha, 44, translation and purport. Okay, Neha doesn't seem to be able to unmute. Monarch Prabhu, 44, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna 2.44 translation. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Purport. Samadhi means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukti says samyag. Sorry, Prabhu, I couldn't read this one.
Okay, you can skip, please.
When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in the samadhi. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyment and bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy.
So when one thinks of bhoga and aishwarya, means material enjoyment, one's consciousness is abducted by material desires. Therefore, the one-pointed attention, which we discussed in 2.49 with Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, A.K. Kuru Nandana verse, that one-pointed attention is not possible because of bhoga and aishwarya, meaning because of material enjoyment. Whether I want to enjoy or let others enjoy or not let others enjoy because of envy, means the whole material consciousness is on the basis of ignorance of knowledge. Means this is the symptom that one has lost one's consciousness to the abduction of material desires. Therefore, one cannot think clearly. Therefore, we have to be always on the guard to not let my consciousness be abducted by material desires. We have to redirect our attachment to Krishna so as to not get abducted by material desires. When Krishna fills the mind, then no one can abduct my mind and my consciousness. Presence of Krishna in the mind is the strongest deterrent against lust, anger, greed, and other anarthas that abduct our consciousness. So we can protect ourselves only when we understand that there is danger in material attachment. So what Krishna is doing, as I explained a few minutes ago, that Krishna is doing a comparison between Karma Yoga and KarmaKanda. That KarmaKanda people are exactly in 44 verse, that they have desire for bhoga and aishwarya and material attachment, enjoyment. Therefore, they don't have one-pointed attention on Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Karma Yogi is one who will be detached from enjoyment so that he can focus on Krishna. Questions, comments, realizations? Okay. So now here, Arjuna has a question. Arjuna says, and he will argue, that those who are following the above verses that we have discussed up to 44, they are actually following Vedas. So what's wrong with it? Therefore, Krishna says in verse number 45 that Vedas talk about the modes of material nature, but one has to rise above the modes. Therefore, they have to give up this enjoying mentality, this attachment that they have to give up. Matan Prabhu, 45 translation.
Hare Krishna. The Veda deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxiety for gain and safety, and be established in the self.
So the three modes keep us in material existence, and we need to go beyond the three modes. One can cross the three modes by the knowledge Krishna is giving in Bhagavad Gita on how to practice Karma Yoga at the highest level so that it becomes Bhakti Yoga. So mode of goodness is also temporary. Therefore, Krishna says to go beyond even the mode of goodness to transcendence. How to do this is by not worrying about gain or loss, but just focusing on doing your duty. And that's why Krishna started this Nishkam Karma Yoga section in 2.38 with these same words. Then don't worry about win or loss, just focus on doing your duty. Questions, comments, realizations? So last verse for today, Krishna will conclude the comparison of KarmaKanda and Karma Yoga with an example of wells and river. Padma Kumar Prabhu, 46 translation.
Okay, 246. All purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Veda can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them.
So the point of this verse is that do not give up the modes in the Vedas, but go beyond the modes. The well has water. The river has much more water that can fill all the needs. Similarly, the Vedas give so many instructions, but the ultimate purpose of Vedas is to know Krishna, which is described in Bhagavad Gita 15.15. So once you know the purpose of Vedas, you are already a Brahmana and you know everything. So in this section of verses 38 to 46, Krishna has contrasted Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga. That how Karma Kanda is temporary, how one needs to have one-pointed intelligence, which will take one beyond the modes. And from verse number 47 onwards to 53, the second part of Nishkam Karma Yoga section, Krishna will describe how to practice Karma Yoga. So far, he has given the theory. So 38 to 46 is the theory part of Karma Yoga, where he has done comparison. And from 47 to 53, Krishna will describe how to practice Karma Yoga at the highest form, which is Bhakti Yoga. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
This last 45 and 46. So, as you mentioned, Veda's purpose is to know Krishna, but Krishna is also saying that Vedas are dealing mainly with three modes.
Correct.
So there's some contradiction, or like something doesn't sync
So
here.
you are correct that Vedas have a lot of details, and largely Vedas have the flowery language. Vedas are largely focused at Karma Kanda. Therefore, it explains a lot about the modes. Simultaneously, Vedas also say that the purpose of Vedas is actually to know Krishna, to do devotional service. So following the Karma Kanda is a gradual process that you do step by step process, and then you realize to the last verse in Vedas, which says to know Krishna. So Krishna says, okay, but you already know, then skip all this gradual process, just rise above the modes and do devotional service. That's it. So it's not a contradiction. It's a gradual process leading to knowing Krishna, or you can just jump to knowing Krishna.
So we should also understand that this doesn't mean that we are like reducing the value of Veda, because like sometimes they are called mother. spiritual master as father, Vedas as mother.
Yeah, at no point we are minimizing the value of Vedas. It's just that the Vedas are not the highest level on the ladder of spirituality. It's at a very low level.
Yeah, thank you.
Questions, comments, realizations. We will not cover next verse because verse number 47 is a pretty heavy verse and definitely very well-known verse, but a mostly misunderstood verse. Many of you must have heard, and specifically from India, many of us are from India, where you must have heard that karma karo, phal ki chinta mat karo means do your duty, do not worry about the results. That is this 2.47 verse, a pretty heavy verse. So we'll cover it our next class. You can take the moment for any questions, comments, realizations.
So I want to ask, what is Vedas Krishna is referring to? So we haven't studied any Vedas yet, yes?
So Krishna has given the summary of Vedas in 3 verses in chapter 15, verse 6, 7, and 8. Essentially, the summary of Vedas is to know Krishna. That's it. So you already know the essence of Vedas right now.
So the demigod worshipper, they do some Vedas and tell, chant some Vedas. So where those Vedas they
The
got it?
demigod worshipper worship or follow Vedas to attain heaven. They are not following Vedas to do devotional service to Krishna. So demigod worshipper following Vedas is different because they are focused to attain material opulences or to go to heaven, whatever be the opulence.
So they all came from Krishna also?
Everybody comes from Krishna.
I mean, the Vedas, all the Vedas.
Yeah, Vedas also come from Krishna. Krishna says in 15.15 that I am the compiler of Vedas and I am the knower of Vedas. Matan Prabhu, read 15.15 translation.
1 second. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all Veda, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
Right? So here's the essence of Vedas given, that by all Vedas, I am to be known. So why do you have to go to gradual process if Krishna has already given you the essence? Matan Prabhu, Abhishek Prabhu, that's what you were asking? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I am going to, in the chat, I'm going to share a template for upcoming class. I request you all to please print this on a letter size page, or in India is A4 size page, or you can draw it simple boxes. I can also bring it up on screen just to show what I'm talking about. So we will populate this chart at our upcoming class. It's pretty straightforward, but it will help you focus on following the trail. So I have on screen, wrong, not this one. Yeah. So I have on screen what I posted in the chat. So please print this on.
Your screen is not visible to me.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for letting me know. Now you're able to see?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So I sent this document in the chat. Please download and print or draw simple boxes. We'll populate this and you will realize your mind. So a lot of discussion about the mind is coming up. Pretty heavy discussion. As I said, chapter 2 is going to overwhelm you very, very soon. But don't worry. I'm going to help you. And when we will finish chapter 2, we will pause and we will revise chapter 1 and chapter 2 side by side will populate in a template, and it should ease all your anxieties. Or even if after that your anxieties remain, I will be here to help and guide you further. We are just about at 4 p.m. Toronto time. Are we okay to stop here?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.